So our topic for today in our series is kind of managing that digital communication, but also thinking about our process now that we're doing this virtual teaching and in our home spaces rather than in our classrooms. So one thing that I think is kind of an important message is that being a virtual teacher does not mean you're on 24/7. It's really important for us to find some balance in our lives and what we are trying to do with our families and our students. And I laughed hysterically with our team when we talked about this yesterday, because I said, I think I'm the worst person to presenting this particular session, as I seem to get stuck and find myself at the kitchen counter where I have not gotten up in hours and hours, and I'm the person who, yes, probably is on WebEx Teams and responding after midnight. So I think it's really important as we get rolling in this to be thinking about what does that really mean for us in our time. One of the things that we are recommending is that you truly build a schedule, and build that schedule with self-care time, family time, and what kinds of time you're going to be allotting to your students, either live virtual kinds of conversations or in terms of checking your email and answering phone calls and things like that. Make sure that when you create that schedule, you communicate it to your students and families. And then most of all, make sure that you follow it. It's really easy to get caught up in the, oh, I got another email, I need to answer it. But if you've really said, I will be checking my email at 9 a.m., and I'll check it again at 3 in the afternoon to close out the day, stick to that and make sure those are the times that you're answering and doing some of those things. Now, obviously, there are times that something will come up that you need to hop in and manage. But in terms of managing your time, it's most helpful if you can make sure that you're sticking to those times and families know when to expect you to be able to do that. Think a little bit about that response time. Your students and families need to know they're being cared for and that you are going to help them out, but it doesn't have to be an instantaneous response. I know we all like to be the person who gets immediate feedback to people, and I'm probably one of the worst in that. I feel bad if I can't answer and take care of somebody's issue right away, but we need to find that balance and make sure that we're not giving up our other lifetime things and our time with family to make sure that we are responding so fast that that expectation gets built that everything will be immediate. And then let the families know when you will be checking and use that time appropriately. Yes, we actually have time for bathroom breaks. We need to do that. And I think as teachers, we are so used to giving up and not having that kind of time for self or the time to be able to do some of the things that we need to do. The virtual learning should give us some of that freedom. We don't have students in with us 24/7 in our classroom all day. We actually can find that time to do some things that we need to do. And maybe that's throwing a load of laundry in, maybe it's taking some time out when your child is having a meltdown, but we need to take time for ourselves and make sure that we are doing some things that help us be productive as well. One of the other things that we'd like to encourage you is to really think about that time. How are you spending it? Is it on really high leverage, things that are going to give great gains to our students and be impactful? Or are we kind of doing low leverage tasks? We're doing things where we're doing a lot of the dit and getting things back and forth and checking things, but it's not stuff that is going to be high impact on our students. What are you asking your students to do? Are you getting quality feedback time with your students? Are you getting high impact with them on their learning? Or are they doing tasks that are more busy work kinds of tasks that are creating large quantities of, I have to check that, or I have to look into that? Let's think a little bit about how we're designing our learning opportunities to give high impact tasks to our students that we really know that they've done the learning on. Ryan or Kristen, any input on that one?
The only thing that I'll say, and I'm going to add this in the chat as well. I want you to hear this piece. Wendy's giving you really clear permission to find this time, and that is not something that is just coming from our team. That is something that Steve Schloman has talked about. All folks at the administrative level at the district have talked about, and folks at the building level, leadership, coaches, we're all talking about what it means to find this balance, and you have permission to work to find that balance between what it means to now be a virtual teacher and doing this online learning piece, and also being a at-home caretaker and being a human being who's trying to understand all of these pieces around that. So the permission extends beyond just the three of us saying this in a webinar.
Absolutely.
I would just concur with what you've already said and what Brian just added.
From our attendees for today, are there things that you are doing right now to balance your time or to find ways to provide some self-care in your schedule? I'm going to take that as we're all still learning to be able to do that balance at this point in time. This is a piece that I have borrowed from Catlin Tucker, and I thought it was just a really nice graphic to kind of think about some of those parts and pieces. When you start working, really set that first bit of time on your high priority items, what has to get done. That way you don't feel like at the end of your work time, like, oh, I still have to work on that because that's what's due tomorrow, or that's the big piece that I needed to do in that piece. Specific times for email or WebEx. When are you going to do those? And then don't let it get sucked into, I find myself with my social media. I'll hop into my Facebook or my Twitter and all of a sudden I've lost hours on it and haven't accomplished what I really needed to do. So really be specific about the times in your schedule when you're going to give yourself the time to work through those parts and pieces. Do your hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it is that you are scheduling for your online office hours or the work that you're going to work on, but then get up and move. It's so important that we're taking care of our bodies in this point in time as well, that we make sure that we have that time to get up and just do some movement and get our brains back. It really does make a difference in our productivity to have that. Make sure you're making time for your family or your friends or others that you are taking care of in this time. It's really important that we have that ability to say, nope, this is time for me to be a mother, or this is time for me to be a grandma and have my conversation with my grandkids or my husband and find those parts and pieces to our lives as well. I love the fact that for Christmas, one of my gifts was an Apple Watch, and it reminds me on a regular basis that it's time to do a breathing exercise. And I have found that that is very calming, focusing, and it does help me work better to be able to take that time and just think about some of those pieces. And then really think about whether or not you're being overwhelmed. I think sometimes we forget that self-care piece, and that can be really important to what we are doing and our productivity and what we're making it there. I also encourage us to think about what it is that's overwhelming us. Is it because we're doing too much of something that isn't necessarily as productive? What are our high leverage pieces that we really need to be sure that we are taking care of? So as Brian said, I really do want to iterate that this is coming from all levels of the district, saying we need to focus on the important pieces. We need to make sure that we're not getting ourselves overwhelmed and putting too much on our students. Our lessons do not need to be what they would have been if we were in the classroom. The coaches met this morning and we had a huge conversation about trying to replicate what would have happened in our classroom in our 40-minute or hour periods or that chunk of time and trying to recreate that in virtual. And we don't want to be doing that. It's too much for students on the other end to be spending those kinds of schedules. And with the different situations, it makes a huge difference in their ability to be able to go through. So think about some of those high quality, impactful pieces that we can do to keep our students involved in learning, but not provide additional overload on what it is that we're trying to do as well. I'm going to keep it really short and sweet today, but I would really love to have some of you talk about what you've built in your schedules for connecting with students and families, how you're building in some personal time.
Wendy, I just wanted to add on to what you were kind of just talking about. And for us, I know that this is a big adjustment, but thinking about also how with this big adjustment comes the opportunity for you to really kind of reevaluate what types of things and what types of lessons you're using in their classrooms, and to think about engagement in different ways. Because again, simplicity doesn't necessarily mean that the rigor is less. It just means that we might be doing things in a different way. And this might be a good opportunity where you're not in the classroom for 8 hours straight or 12 hours straight for lots of people. You have a little bit more flexibility to kind of think and reimagine how some of those things are doing it. And you also have that freedom right now because you are getting permission from all levels of admins in the district to kind of make this your own and to own it. And the goal here is to persevere. It's to provide a learning environment for kids. It's to provide a learning environment for teachers. And you kind of get to decide, obviously within the realm of things, you get to decide what that environment's going to look like. So take some time right now to personalize that and to really be thinking about what are the important pieces, like what are the things that today or this week or in the next 3 days I really want my students understanding, and choose to focus on those really important pieces and to really kind of make that personalized for your kids.
Not sure if you're all checking the chat on this, but Chris has actually a really good regimen kind of outlined. I don't know, Chris, if you want to give any voice to that beyond what you put in the text, just about how that's working out for you, finding some of the balance between me time and time that you're on for working.
Sure, I can. Hi, everybody. So my morning meetings I teach fourth grade. For those of you that don't know me, I teach fourth grade at Rose Glen. So my morning meeting with my fourth graders usually goes about 35 or 45 minutes before I say goodbye to them. And then I'm available to them, and they know this between 9:45 and 11 o'clock. And some of them will call me individually, or they'll send messages to me individually, or they'll write messages on my message board. And then I get up and walk away from it at 11, and I'll take our dog out for a walk, or I'll go on a bike ride with our daughter, or I'll go outside and shoot some baskets with our kids. And then and I usually, with my children who are sweaters, I always have to do laundry and lunch. And then at 2 o'clock, I sit back down and I host an open mic with Marks. And some kids come back on and they will admit that they had no troubles with their work and no troubles with technology. They just simply want to talk. And so a lot of times the children come on and we answer questions or talk. And like I said, it goes about 30, 35 minutes. And then I say goodbye to them. And then I turn into me again and get my work done around the house, or my lesson planning, or usually take another walk. So I don't know. That's how we do it.
Thanks. Well, those are all excellent ideas, Chris. Thank you very much for sharing.
Sure. Hey, if Paula Davies, I think I see you logged in on the chat. I left you a comment in the chat feature as well, but if you wouldn't mind, would you post the link to the acronym exercises that you shared with me yesterday? I just think it's a really cool thing, and thinking outside of the box, and you're getting your kids to engage in a different way that they wouldn't necessarily engage. And there's a lot of flexibility in that. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that, that would be awesome. Thanks.
Kristen, I am here. Where would you like me to post it? Just in the
Yeah,
WebEx?
if you
Post it right in the chat if you would, Paula. If you float over the screen, you'll see like the little chat bubble, and you can click that to open up and see where you can contribute.
All right, let me see if I can find that. I've got to go grab it. Thank you, Kristen.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll just add this for secondary teachers specifically. So you have the challenge of the multiplier effect, whether that's middle school or high school. You've got all of the different hours that you're working across, and you've got all of those different students that you're engaging with. And so that 9 to 11 office hours piece, or whatever your window might be that you're doing office hours, can be particularly challenging to also meet with everybody. So really want you to think about it from the other side of the lens as well. If you're feeling the need to connect into all of those different classes, think about all the students and the number of teachers that they're engaging with. And so if we can really start to feel a little bit more comfortable, if a student doesn't come into your office hours, it's okay. It's fine. It's acceptable. We can be okay with that. You offer the connections where they are allowed, and you create that space and say, this is where I'm going to be and when I'll be there. But not feeling the need to hit every hour of every day throughout and running sessions as usual, and just understanding that if you can limit some of your time, it'll be good for your mental health and well-being, but it'll also be good for the kids. I've got a 4th grader and a 7th grader in my home. My 4th grader is feeling a little bit more comfortable around, having one teacher to connect with. My 7th grader is running into that issue of having multiple teachers to connect with over multiple times. Teachers haven't necessarily, because it's really hard to do, haven't figured out time schedules and all of those pieces. And so if you can just cut back a little bit, that'll be good on both sides, for you and for them.
Just adding on to that, I was scrolling one of the Facebook groups that I follow yesterday, and I took a screenshot of something that a random educator put on here. And I took the screenshot because I was like, wow, that just like put things into perspective. So here it is. It says, and this is just something for us all to think about when we're planning things for teachers and for those of us who plan for professionals as well. Have you taken an online class? How about 6 at once? When you were a teenager, with perhaps spotty Wi-Fi and with technology crashing and needing to share a device or watch siblings while trapped at home, while filled with fear and anxiety? Yeah, me neither. So let's cut ourselves and the kids some slack. So took a picture of it because I was like, wow, that just put it all into perspective for me. So just be thinking about that. What you put out there for your kids, it's not their usual, right? So let's be kind to ourselves, be kind to our kids.
Thank you for mentioning that, Kristen. This is Cynthia Gannon coming to you from Florida. I see a lot of familiar names on that list of who's in the meeting. So hi all. I am pinch hitting for Carly Solberg at Prairie. I have both of our daughters here, and one a student at Marquette and the other teaching from Brooklyn virtually. And so we got the whole thing. We got the principal, we got the student, and we got the teacher, as well as the custodian and cook with my husband. When you read all those Facebook posts and you see what's going on in people's different worlds, just like in when you're walking through the school and you see the cool things going in classrooms, attempting to replicate those things or do what other people are doing or saying, oh, how could I do this? I tell you, you really have to let that go, because you really need to stay in that world where you're comfortable and where you're going to be able to provide rich instruction and allow yourself to forgo perfection. and not, I'm not sure who put I think it was Brian who put that video or that little 7 steps or however many steps it was. And the first one is, don't try to be perfect. If you're making mistakes in a video, just let it go, just like you would do in a classroom. You don't stop every time and redo it. That we really have to, it's a whole different world. My struggle right now is figuring out, do I get on WebEx? Do I get on Web Teams? Why isn't it working? And I mean, it is so beyond anything I've ever done, and I'm sure what you people are doing. So kudos, Waukesha. I came in about 3 weeks after it all started. Didn't even think I was going to be doing this, but excited to be here and helping out where needed. So keep up the great work you do. Just because I know who's on this list, you do an amazing job already. Make it so that it's sustainable, and you're going to be able to be there for yourself and for your family.
Good advice, Cynthia. Need some tech support though, I'm happy to come to Florida and help out. We've got a really great day here, and
I just don't want to put my name on that tech support thing, because everyone's going to say, I don't got this. I don't got this. People are like, oh, we don't want Cynthia.
Never. Anyone else? Things that you're doing in your schedule? Things that your students are experiencing or asking about? Not seeing any volunteers hopping up forward with that. I will go ahead and wrap up today's session. Thank you for coming and joining us. Tomorrow's session will be a Q&A. It's going to be very open-ended, and we will not have a planned presentation. So bring your thoughts, your questions, things you'd like to bounce off of other people here in the group. It's a safe place to get some of those questions answered. And next week, we will be focusing a lot on feedback and how you can provide feedback to your students and get some quality feedback from them on what's going on. So we hope that you continue to stop back in and join us at the 11 o'clock time slot to find out a little bit more about what we can do in our new teaching environment.
And Wendy, just for the benefit of everyone, Steve let us know that he is, this afternoon, we're going to be on for Google Jamboard. So if you need a interactive whiteboarding tool, Google Jamboard will be the focus that we're going to bring into our 3 o'clock Chalk Talk today.
Oh, okay. Excellent. And with that, we will.
I want to say one thing, guys. Hang in there. We are all here for you, and we're all here in the trenches as well. So, truly, 100%, we are in this together, and I do believe that together we can be stronger and we can get through this. So, hang in there. I know it's challenging, but you got this.
We're all learning together. Have a good rest of your day.